if the other hyena females will feed perhaps a cub that's not theirs, just like the lions do. Unfortunately not. It's quite savage here in the hyena den, as well as it can be quite peaceful like it is for the moment. But there's pretty much a strict no policy with feeding other cubs. So a female will just look after her little ones and make sure that they're fine. And then you'll even see when those other little cubs come over to a female that's not theirs, they don't really tolerate them too much. They sort of growl or snap at them to say, hey, get on. Go to your own mom. Don't come and bother me and my youngsters. So yeah, so that doesn't happen, unfortunately. But yellow-throated longclaws. They just flew right past the car. That's what caught my attention. I thought they were going to fly through the car. And I wonder if they've realized that they've landed at the hyena den. Like two males, I think, having a bit of a squabble. They're chasing one another around. They might come back again. I'm just keeping an eye out for them. Even that one hyena was watching. Very cool. Very, very nice indeed. But it's quiet now. Very, 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 very quiet. Just having a look around to see if I could see those African quail finches again too. Actually, I don't know if I'll have a look out for them, because they were very pretty birds to see. And it was my first time seeing them. I'd like to get rid of one. Right, let's jump back on board with Brent and see what he's got to show you.
Here we go, one of the prettier widow birds, the yellow mantled widow. Feeding off the grass seeds. I still haven't managed to figure out what that testicular calling was. I think it could be a stout, just a very strange call for it. And I'm going to have to do more research. Unfortunately, sometimes we don't have all the bird calls we need. We've got most of them. There we go, a yellow mantled widow bird. Now, another bird that we see quite often with yellow on its back, and that flops around very, very similar to a widow, it's actually related to the widow, is the yellow bishop. However, the yellow bishop doesn't have such a long tail like this guy. He's got a very long tail. And this is the male. And the females are all quickly in the right-hand track of the road. Right there. There's a little quail-finch argument going on. I actually know what is going on there. It looks like there's... there we go. That's exactly what it is. So there's little quail-finch chicks being fed by the adults. So that's begging going on. Feed me, feed me, feed me, feed me. Isn't that cool? Here we go. Demanding youngsters. They've done well to raise 3. Now, they nest in the grass in tiny little nests. They are tiny little birds. Yeah, you guys are big enough to feed yourselves. Why are you begging all the time? So there's the female just behind the 3, and then right up at the top, if we go up a little bit, oh, there at the back, there's the male. You can see that little white face mask he's got there. Slightly more striking stripes and colours than the female. And that looks like a little male, one of the little ones. Oh, isn't that pretty? I think they're absolutely gorgeous little birds. One of my favourite little birds that we see quite regularly in the Mara. So there's male and female and the 3 little rugrats below. Oh, off they all go. And our widow has also disappeared. I'm going to keep on moving, see if we can find a yellow bishop Tarako, and I'm still going to keep listening to my testicular calls to try to figure out which testicular that is. I'm leaning towards stout, or actually possibly what I originally said, rattling, just the different variants in the call. But there's a lot of different testicular species here, so you've got to be quite careful. There's hunters and rock-loving and cloud and... I can probably list about 20 different testiculars that we do get in the Mara. Not all of them are common, and like rock-loving and stuff will generally only be in quite rocky areas. The winding and red-faced around the rivers and reed beds. Now, it seems like I've inspired my good friend Tristan to stop looking for leopards and start looking for feathered friends.
Well, I certainly can look for feathered friends, Brent. You're just jealous that you can't find a leopard on that side of the world, and so that's why you want me to stop. Because a few months ago, Brent said he challenged me to find that he would find a leopard before I did, and I think we lost count at about 20-0. So it's a game that we should maybe then stop by now, because I think we're way ahead, and so we should give Brent some time. Right, well, we've got a warthog who is busy scratching himself and making sure that everybody knows that he is around this area. You'll probably find that he's leaving a little bit of scent when he does that. Also, must be itchy between all of those warts. Now, this poor warthog is going the wrong way. It mustn't go the way that it's going. You see it's sniffing around and it's just marking itself and then carrying on. It's really walking in a very bad place, because what lies beyond the vegetation that warthog is walking into is the Styx Pride and one Birmingham. Now, if you're a warthog, I'm pretty sure walking into a pride of lions is probably the singular worst thing that you could be doing, particularly if you're in the Masai Mara. It seems as though those lions there absolutely love warthogs. Our lions here very seldom go after warthogs, but in the Masai Mara, it seems as though warthog is on the menu every single day. So luckily for this warthog, it's not in the Mara, but unluckily it is still walking, and there is an element of risk to it. Now, what I want to do is just go forward slightly, because there is a sort of sometimes a gap that you can see onto the open area, and I actually just want to have a little scan around and see, maybe, you never know, maybe we can actually see these lions from here. I don't think so, but it's worth just having a little check quickly while we're right here in the area, and see if maybe, just maybe, I think with now being summer, we might not be able to see too much because of the thickness of the bush. But let's see, there's normally a little window here somewhere. There we go, that's the window. I don't see anything, Seb. It's a bit thick now. In winter, it's much easier because all this vegetation dies back and you can see the whole of that clearing. But today, it is very, very thick from all the rain, but that's the clearing and that area there. Any lions there? No, don't see any. No, nope, that's it. No lines that I can see. Now the open area extends a lot more towards us and past that big tall knobthorn there, and goes in a little bit to the left towards that marula. So that little bank of tall trees, that's where the open area extends into. But with the way that the trees are growing and the thickness of everything, it's difficult to actually see that. So we won't be able to see those lines. If we can't see it from here, we won't see it from anywhere. So I don't know where I'm going to go from here. Maybe, should we go Chitwa Dam, Seb? Maybe Chitwa Dam is not a bad place to go. We haven't been there for a few days, and it's fairly sort of overcast, so the light won't be obliterating our eyeballs if we stare at the water. And so we can go and take Brent up and do some feathered friend challenges around Chitwa Dam. That's what we shall do. Maybe we'll get lucky with something quite nice. It's often in cloudy weather like this, you do get some really nice birds that arrive. We know that we've seen white-winged terns there, whiskered terns there, black-crowned night herons. There's all kinds of different birds that show up from time to time. So it will be a worthwhile endeavor to go there if we are going to be doing birding, and to try and get onto Brent's page. Like I say, shame, we don't want to challenge him to leopards because, well, I'm pretty sure we'll find a leopard before he will at some stage. Maybe this afternoon, if Brent is driving, I shall do a leopard challenge with him. Now, talking about feathered friends, here's two of them right now, and these are two that, funny enough, don't get on camera nearly as often as we do with all the others. Now, I know it's against a very grey sky, so I do apologize because it will be a bit blown out in the sky, but these are grey hornbills. So, you know, we see a lot of the red-billed and the yellow-bills. We see them moving around quite a lot and kind of get them on camera a vast majority of the time, but the greys we don't get nearly as much, and I don't know why it is. They're very common here. You see them and hear them all the time, and they fly from marula tree to marula tree often, or to, you know, those kind of bigger trees, and they sit on top and make a lot of noise. So it's a bird that we should really get on camera a lot more than we actually do. But you can see why it's called a grey hornbill. Everything is fairly drab on it and fairly monotone. They've got, except for that little cream stripe that you see on the beak on that particular individual. Now, I'm forgetting which one is male and female and who has the cream stripe. I think it is the male that has the cream stripe. So let me just have a little quick look. Yes, male has got the cream stripe and the blackish beak, and then the female is the one that's got the little red tip to the beak. So it will be a male and female, these two, and they'll be just kind of coasting about, finding little food items. What they're getting there, I'm not quite sure. You can see they're kind of picking at the bark itself, so there might be some termites that are in there. They might be finding that are just kind of in between the bark and the actual wood itself that they can grab and then feed off. There's also a bit of preening now going on, so after food you need to groom oneself and make sure you clean everything up. You'll find they sometimes run their beak over the tree as well, just to try and clean everything. Right, so by this, the visual is not very good at all. It's, like I say, right up against a very grey sky, which is blowing it out completely, so let's try and carry on. Now, Chitty Chatty Meg, you're wondering if birds get fleas. To be honest, I don't know, actually. I would imagine that they are capable of getting fleas. How they would come into contact with fleas is the next interesting question. I would imagine something like a... Are you going to stay still for us, little blue waxbill? Just on the tree there, that little fallen... Oh, no, there it is on the ground. So they are coming down onto the ground, which will be nice, little blue waxbills. So I would imagine they can get fleas if they come into contact with wherever fleas may be. So maybe things like oxpeckers that are on animals where fleas are occurring, and they could pick them up. It's why they do a lot of dust bathing, particularly oxpeckers. They seem to do a lot more dust bathing than a lot of the other animals, and that's just to try and keep their feathers in good condition, and again, just to try and keep parasites off them. So I'd imagine yes, the answer to it would be yes, but I don't know for certain. I'll have to try and investigate and then let you know for sure, but I would say yes, that they can get fleas and probably do get them. Now you can see our little blue waxbills. They're such beautiful birds. They're kind of very drab from the back, but as soon as they turn, look at that beautiful sort of powder blue color that they've got, or pastel blue should we call it, and they are a very pretty little bird, and you'll find that they are seed eaters, so they'll all be very happy at the moment, the little firefinches and the waxbills, and they'll be going along and feeding off all kinds of little grass seeds that are now growing. So it's a time of plenty for these guys, and they become these little fat balls of fur, or feathers should I say, as they go along feeding off all of these little seeds. And they're quite busy. It's difficult to get them on cameras because they tend to bounce around all over the place. As you can see, they don't sit still for more than a second, and we're just lucky that they've decided to sit right out in the open for us, that we can actually see them this morning. I love watching waxbills, and we get a number of different species of waxbills in this area. So we'll get, the common waxbill, violet-eared waxbill, these blue waxbills here. So it's always good just to stop and take it in and have a little look at all of them. Very cool to see. Right, little waxbills, well, enjoy your breakfast. It seems as though you are loving every little bit of it. Wonder if they have a favoured grass that they like to go after. Do you think it depends on each one, like us, that we have favourite meals, or do you think they just feed off any grass that seeds? I reckon that they like certain grasses. I'm sure guinea grass is probably going to be high up on the list of things to eat, much like a lot of the other animals. Right, well, we're going to carry on, and while we do that, let's go back to Taylor and the long grass of East Africa.
Oh, hello again, everybody. Sorry about that. I had no idea that anybody was coming to me, but we have a big herd of elephants. Sorry, there's another vehicle that's just sitting next to us at the moment. I'm just watching what's going on because we've got a small herd of elephants that we had last night, and this guy's trying to go through them, but this is another big herd of elephants. This is a huge herd of elephants that we've got here at the moment. Coming not straight towards us, they're just walking in the distance, as you can see. Some big girls in there though. Can't even see the tiny tots in the long grass. Wow, how many elephants do you think are there? What, 40 or 50 of them? What do you think, Jandre? No? You're counting. Jandre's counting. He's doing a much better job than I am. I can't count that many, unfortunately. I can only do 20 because I've got 10 toes and 10 fingers. I'm just letting Jandre concentrate. He's going to tell us how much there are. 39! Should have stuck with my first guess of 40. Plus these ones. 40. 41, 42. Getting closer and closer to 50. We'll try and get it that way. Right. I'm trying to think what we should do. If we should maybe go and position ourselves. Let's do that. Actually, let's turn around very quickly. We'll come back and have a look at this herd and let them settle down a bit. And then hopefully they'll be a bit more relaxed. And then I just want to show you something else before we even reposition. There's one of the other members of the North clan, hyenas, just in between the elephants, slowly making their way back to the den. Maybe this is another one of the mothers. I'm trying to find the matriarch, because it would be quite cool to see her. Maybe she doesn't have cubs at the moment. It's a very fluffy hyena. We'll be seeing lots and lots of them coming back slowly, slowly, slowly. Now, Trista, you've said, there was a question about the elephants, and you were wondering, why do elephants only digest 25% of their food? They actually digest a little bit more than that. It's about 44%, I think, to be exact. And they've just got very poor digestive systems. All the animals have got different digestive systems. Elephants need to eat so much food because of that exact reason. So, sadly, they were given great eyesight, good hearing, and a fantastic sense of smell. They were made to be the largest land mammal, but you can't have everything. So, unfortunately, they were made with a poorer digestive system than something that ruminates, like a giraffe or an impala. So, a bit unfortunate for the Ellies, but they don't mind. It means that they just get to use the excuse of eating all day long. Love to be an elephant. Now, hyena, what are you doing? You're coming towards us now. It's a very brave one. It's walking kind of towards us, or I don't know if it's watching the big herd of elephants. Perhaps it's also amazed. You may every now and then also hear a black-bellied bustard calling. There we go. Very cool. Let's see if these young, curious elephants are going to chase this hyena. One's already flared its ears just slightly. You can see. Oh, there's our floppy-eared girl, by the way, as well. The elephant we were looking at yesterday. Gendre called her Dumbo. It's not very nice, Gendre. I'm joking. She can't fly with those ears, though. She can't flap them. Right, okay. What I think we can do is, I think we might get a view of this hyena with the big herd of elephants as well, which could be quite cool. Because they're moving very quickly. You're going to be surprised to see how close those elephants are. Interesting that those youngsters didn't even care for that hyena at all. They weren't bothered by it. Looks like a nice mixture of male and female. Looks like there's some big boys tailing this herd too. Hello hyena, I'm going to jump in front of you. And we know the hyena's going back this way, so it should keep coming. Might come past the car, or maybe in between the elephants, although that could be a big gamble. There we go. Look at this, look at this. This is so cool. Can we sit here, Rebecca? Because they're going to come close quite quickly. They're traveling at a rather rapid pace this morning. It doesn't look like it. But they've, done a couple of 100 meters in not a very long period of time. So how nice is that to see all the different sizes lined up? Most of them girls, but every now and then the ones that are towering above the others are the bulls. This is beautiful. Chandra, I'm impressed that you managed to count all the elephants. I definitely could never have done that. My goodness. Dinosaur sounds coming from the elephants today. Now, it's just before we get stuck in the thick of it, I just want to make sure that this bull is not in must, because otherwise we could find ourselves in a sticky situation, which I don't want to get. Come on, elephants, move out of the way. You keep blocking that elephant bull on the bits that I need to look at. Nah, I think we're all good. I think we might be fine. A little bit of staining. Maybe he's coming out of must. He's a big boy, though. Look, there's a hyena running past us. A hyena just ran straight past the car. Like, he sort of looked at me and was like a bit nervous, trotting along. Yeah, you should better go quickly because there's lots of elephants coming towards you. You wouldn't want to be chased by all of them. Now, sorry, I think it was Krista. You were wondering if male elephants only come into must when a female's in estrus. No, not at all. So, depending on the age of the elephant bull, that would determine when he'd come into must, and also it would mean how many other bulls are there. There's that Eurasian, I'm sure that's the marsh harrier that we were seeing yesterday. Well, it's gone now, just a quick glimpse. It's all happening here this morning. And now look at this. This is what I was hoping for. To have all these elephants walk right past us. Can you hear them as they march through the grass? Oh, you are a little bit of must, aren't you, big boy? Hopefully he just ignores us. Hello, big boy. It's okay. Just watching him. He's not really bothered with us, but I am ready to go. You've always got to be prepared. See how he keeps just turning his head slightly at us. Thank you, big boy. And I think because none of the cows came up to the car and worried about us, he kind of just did his thing. So that was quite nice. Still being completely surrounded by elephants. Well, we're not surrounded. We haven't got elephants behind us, but we're just moving very calmly through the long grass. And here's a mini migration. All on the go. Sandkest Summer, you're wondering what is the saddest part about being an elephant? Well, I've never been on an elephant before. I'd quite like to be one, though. That's definitely on things I'd like to achieve for 2018 is be an elephant for a day. So I'll be able to, hopefully be able to answer that question one day. I don't know what the saddest part is. The fact that they, I don't know, they've just got such a strong emotional bond with one another. I think it must be quite a traumatizing experience when a member of the herd dies, or perhaps when a young bull has to get pushed out. It must be quite traumatic for him. However, it's very difficult for me, unfortunately, to answer a question like that, just because I've never been an elephant and I've never been able to communicate successfully with an elephant. I try all the time. I talk to them like you have no idea. But no one has actually answered me just yet in a language that I can understand. So you can imagine this would chase all the hyenas away. All the youngsters would have to go in the burrows and all the adults would run around. And I'm sure those hyenas experience big herds of elephants coming through every now and then, and are kind of used to it. I mean, and I think the same for the elephants. I think the elephants are used to seeing the hyenas too, and they're not really worried at all about this. I mean, the only time an elephant would have to worry about a hyena is perhaps if one was giving birth and a huge clan came around and pestered a female. She'd do a good job, though, at trying to chase them away. But otherwise, elephants are pretty safe. Yeah, now I can smell that bull that's in my street. We're downwind of them now. He smells like a goat that's been rolling around in the sewage. Very nice smell. And we still got this haze. Even though we had a big downpour last night, it didn't seem to clean the weather up. Oh well. But what a nice view. What a great elephant sighting. Anyways, they're marching off into the distance, probably headed to the marsh for a party. Brent is not too far away from the marsh, I think, and it seems as though he's got some rather large birds perched up in a tree.
Well, it's not only 2 white-backed vultures, there's actually a whole bunch of vultures in the center of the forest, so I'm guessing that's where the Angama pride are, somewhere deep inside that forest. They've managed to get themselves a meal, because there's just one too many vultures to say that it is nothing there. So I think there's lions in there, and I've tried to get as far as I could towards the edge of the forest, but unfortunately this is all we can see from here. White-backed vultures. Now, I sort of heard that Tristan wanted to have a bird challenge with me. Now, what are the rules? Are we starting from now, from when Tristan said let's start, or are we starting from the beginning of drive? Because I think if we're starting from the beginning of drive, poor Tristan is way behind. So I think we'll probably start from now. So there we go. White-backed vultures are our first bird. And there we go. We are starting from now, confirmation. And our second bird is being very noisy. Over there, it's a little bit up and to the right slightly. There we go, center frame. A little bit down. There he is, making lots of noise. You hear that? You got him there, right in the center of frame. There's a yellow-throated longclaw, perched precariously and making lots of noise. One of the more common calls in the Mara. Now, we did have some sunbirds around us, but unfortunately they've skedaddled. Now, I'm going to keep moving. There's something that's quite exciting. Well, we've seen them before, but only way back in sort of May, June, and they're one of the last of the widow birds to get their coloration from I'm going to be careful around coloration that they have during the non-breeding season to their beautiful black, and that's the Jackson's widow bird, which is endemic to this part of the world. And I saw a few yesterday, and there's a really good spot for Jackson's widow birds up towards that little hill over there. So, oh, there's another big hole. Gotta be so careful about holes here. I mean, look at that. You don't want to fall into that. You will be properly stuck. And I have no intention of joining the Marshmallow Club. There we go. No intention at all. We're going to head a bit higher up towards the Olololo escarpment. Aha! So Tristan's so desperate to win, he's gone to Chitwa Dam to see how many birds he can cheat at Chitwa.
Oh, Brent, you are in lots of trouble because Chitwa Dam is alive with bird life this morning. As you can see there by our little collared pratincoles that are sitting there. That's a young one that is in that area, and then the rest are kind of scattered about in amongst them as well. So there's quite a few actually around. You can see they're all busy grooming themselves. So lots of collared pratincoles. Nice to see them back because they haven't been here for the last few days, or last few times I've come, there hasn't been any of them. So it's always good to see them and to make 100% sure that they're still around. But they are very cool birds. I like these little pratincoles, and funny enough, they're very rare in this area. Chitwa Dam gets them all the time, but everybody else, if you tell all the other guides in the Sabi sands that we're seeing them, they all jump up and down and want to try and come and sort of twitch them, which is the word to go and see birds, and yet they haven't managed to get them. There's sometimes on the Sand River you'll get them, but otherwise very, very seldom. So we're lucky that we get this little flock that comes to Chitwa Dam, and I'm sure it's the same flock that's come in the last 2 years, and that's a very, very tired pratincole. But because this is a challenge, we're not going to spend too long on our pratincole. We're going to just quickly get a whole bunch of species. To the right of that is Egyptian geese with the little chicks that are busy kind of moving along the edge as well. Right, so now we are sitting with 2 species of bird. We will get the rest now, but while we do that, let's go back to Brent, who's got something very special to show you.
There we go. It's a rhinoceros, as Rebecca calls it. So they often sleep in the thickets of the shiny forest and then come out during the day. And this rhino hasn't even figured out that we're here yet. So it's walking very slowly through the long grass. I'm going to try sneak a little bit closer. And you can see how long the grass is getting now, because the rhino has almost disappeared. Okay. So he just wandered out of the forest, so this is very exciting. He looks like he's been sitting in a mud wallow all night. And he just heard the car. Oh no, yeah. Sometimes in this area we don't see these rhino that often, so they can be a little bit unrelaxed. So as soon as I started the car, you can see it lifted its head. Oh no, we saw this one a few days ago with that very distinct tear in the ear. Where did we see it? I'm trying to remember. No, it was just on the other side of the forest. We saw this rhino in the long grass again. We had very distinct tear, but there were 2 of them the last time they were together, and I saw them, but just one today. Now, it looks like they are grazing. However, the black rhino are not grazers. There are lots of small bushes coming out through this long grass, small balanites trees, small woolly caper bush, and that's what they're browsing off. Now, because we've only got half an hour of bird challenge, because Tristan Djuma ends in half an hour, I'm going to claim the swallows that are whooping past the rhino. Those are European swallows, Although I know Tristan is at a distinct advantage now, because I'm out in the grasslands and he is at Chitwa Dam, where there's a lot of waterfowl. I think he's doing it because he couldn't find a leopard this morning, to be honest. Okay, let's try to get a bit closer to the rhino now. Off on the march. So I actually do know this rhino. It's quite relaxed. You can get quite close to this one. Certain of the ones sometimes you see in this area are not relaxed at all. So they just take off like a bad smile. Okay, let's have a look. So this rhino I do know, I have seen quite a few times, and it is quite relaxed, as I was saying. So there we go, we're almost opposite now. So it's a very distinct tear in the left ear. It sort of has a double ear almost. Here we go. Hello, rhinoceros. Now there's a head down in the grass, looking for the little bushes. And there's all sorts of little bushes and plants. There we go. You see that very distinct tear in the ear. Almost looks like it's got two ears. It's a diagnostic on this rhino, making it quite easy to identify. Hey, I think they're very pretty. I know some people might disagree with me. Lifting up, listening, smelling, and you can see the European swallows or barn swallows flitting through. Hello, rhino. Well, I always love a good black rhino sighting, and I'm just trying to see. There are no oxpeckers on it, unfortunately, to add to our bird list. That is so cool. I love it when they lift their heads to look over the grass like that. Hello. Yes, I'm here. Don't worry. I'm not up to nonsense. We're just having a good look. There we go. Chitty Chatty Meg says we found a rhino, so we automatically win. I agree with Chitty Chatty Meg. It's such a nice sighting. I love it when they do this. So what he's trying to do is just establish exactly where we are. So their eyesight is quite poor, and especially in this long grass. Ravinda is wondering, are there any white rhino in the reserve? No, Ravinda. There were never white rhino in the Mara, strangely enough. They did not naturally occur here, only black rhino. So there are no white rhino in the reserve. The closest traditionally naturally occurring white rhino were in Uganda, and they were part of the northern white rhino subspecies. There aren't any in Uganda at the moment, or there could be now, I'm not 100% sure, but most of those were moved into a protected area in central Kenya, and that's where the remaining white rhino from East Africa are. Now, of course, these are a slight subspecies compared to the black rhino we get in southern Africa. Oh, did you trip over something, mister? I can't even see if it's a Mr. or a Mrs. The grass is just too long. Marching off. They are just built like armoured vehicles. They do look like a tank. A little mini tank. Incredibly powerful animals. And they often get a reputation for being very, very aggressive. But I found black rhino, I think they get a fright, and that's they just tend to run in a direction. But that's been an absolutely wonderful sighting of this black rhino. It seems like Noel's found a really interesting symbiotic pair.
So we have this wonderful little business of dwarf mongoose that's here. Now, just before we came live, we had all of these Franklin's alarm calling. The mongoose were fine. They were grooming themselves. They were grooming each other. And then something happened. Everybody dived underneath, but they're slowly coming back out. We've also, while we've been sitting here, we've found that there is a yellow-billed hornbill that has a nest in one of these marula trees, just on sort of the knot of this tree here that Davi is zooming in just there on the right-hand side. So we're hoping that he'll fly back and start feeding the chicks. We had that really great sighting the other day while we were busy with Hasana of those hornbills in their nest there, and it's about time for these hornbills, both red, gray, and yellow-billed, to start fledging and coming out. Now, it's interesting, Brent was bringing up a little symbiotic relationship. Sometimes what you'll see with the dwarf mongoose and the yellow-billed hornbill or red-billed hornbill or gray hornbill is they'll work in tandem around a termite mound. So where these dwarf mongoose are coming out of at the moment is part of a termite mound. They're living inside of the old chimneys there. It's still an active mound inside the walls, but it's nice and warm for them in there. Also a safe little spot. Now, a termite mound that will be more active with, say, winged alights, or possibly on an overcast day, similar to what it was this morning. Oh, here comes the hornbill. It's coming back. Sorry. We just barely got, did you see it, putting its beak in there? They're so quick when they fly in, and they're so quick to feed the youngsters. Now it's going to look around, then it'll fly off. It will come back. It's feeding at things like caterpillars and scorpions and dung beetles. So sometimes what you'll get with the dwarf mongoose and the ground hornbills, they'll work in tandem around those termite mounds. But then sometimes the mongoose will find areas where there's a nice deposit of say, beetles, or pick another insect, or even scorpions, and will dig, and the hornbills will help them, or just sort of pick around the edges of what the mongoose don't get. I'm very jealous of Brent's black rhino sighting, by the way. I haven't seen a black rhino in a while, and they're one of my favorite mammals to view. Not that these dwarf mongoose aren't cute. The Jersey lady, you're saying you haven't seen dwarf mongoose in a while, so you're happy for that. I'm glad. Oh, the hornbill's back. The hornbill's back. Oh, he's got something huge. Is it a stick insect? It is. Did you see him feed that huge stick insect to the little ones? What is it doing now? Or is it... Interesting. I can't decide if that is just a piece of bark and there was insects on the bark and he's trying to feed it through. I'm a little bit confused here, or if it was a stick insect. Let's see what happens. But you can see that gap that we're talking about, where he's just barely fitting his beak in. And I say him, do you see the red underneath the edge of the beak there towards the neck? That gets very red in the males. Not so with the females. Very cool. All right. Well, that was an enjoyable little bird and mammal sighting. We're going to carry on. We looked hectically for Tundi. We checked that drainage line like you would not believe. There's only 2 or 3 spots we couldn't get into, unfortunately. She doesn't want to be seen today. So I think let's head on over to Tristan, who has abandoned all hope of Tingana and gone over to Chitwa Dam.
I have indeed. We're busy with our bird challenge that Brent set, and unfortunately 3 different species have all flown away since we've been sitting here. But at least we have a fish eagle, so that's another one to add to the list. Looking ever so good on its tree, surveying Chitwa Dam as they do. Often sits up there, that little one. Now in front of me, Seb, if you just go in front into the grass, you see there's a stump that is in front, so there's like bits of dead wood that is in front there. Now if you punch in towards those areas, I'll try and find exactly where they've gone, but there should be a 3-banded plover somewhere in that area. Well, there's a Burchell starling that we've got in the background, so that's one. Where's the 3-banded plover gone? It was there with the common sandpiper as well. Now, apparently I've got to give info on each bird. That's not what was said. This is a bird challenge. If you want to bird and you want to see birds, you can't sit and give info on every single one, because otherwise they all fly away. They don't sit still. They are not cats that sleep in the same place, unfortunately, and so one needs to try and see them as quick as possible. Now, here on my right-hand side, Seb, and it's actually not a Burchell starling, we'll get into that one just now, but there's a ring-necked dove or Cape turtle dove right on the top of the tree that is sitting up against the cloud. So we saw these guys earlier on the white berry bush. It's very easy to distinguish this one. It's got that little black sort of half circle around the back of the neck, and then you can see that it's quite a large dove in comparison to something like a laughing dove. And very, very common. We see them here a lot. Now, underneath them is the buffalo weavers that are probably the noisiest characters that we have in this area. You can see that's their nests, and there's a few of them bouncing around in amongst the sticks as well. So these red-billed buffalo weavers are busy still building. They seem to never stop building, these guys. They're always around kind of adding in trees and doing their thing. Right, Seb, let's see if we can find these little three-banded plovers, because they were here in front of us. I just want to drive a little bit. Oh, there's some blacksmith lapwings as well. Brent, I think you're in trouble, my friend. There is a lot going on at Chitwa Dam here. So there's some blacksmith lapwings that are very common around water. I was pretty sure we would find these guys too, because they typically move around just on the fringes and do their little thing and make sure that they are constantly trying to find food. Right, now I'm going to try and find these little three-banded plovers and this common sandpiper that was here, and while I do that, let's go back to Brent, who I believe has got a bird that is looking much like a statue.
Well, we're very lucky it's still, and it's a bird that we see quite often as we come down the hill from camp, but we don't get to put on camera very often, and I apologize that it's so far away, but it is an auger buzzard. And while we've been watching the auger buzzard, the taracos have been taunting me. There's 3 different groups calling, and I just can't spot them at the top of the trees. It sounds like they're deeper in the forest. Evil taracos. There we go. It is wonderful to just see the auger buzzard sitting so still. Right on the edge of the forest. Now they like to feed off rodents mostly and insects, but it's a good spot right on the edge of the forest. If there are any rodents running around in the grass, it's going to have a good view of where they might be. Okay, I've had one last look for those taracos. They have evaded us still, so let's keep moving on and seeing what else we might be able to flush out of this lovely long grass. Come on, quickly. I know I saw some widow birds here before we have to go back to Tristan. They were hopping around, but they ducked down into the grass, so I'm hoping we can flush them out. Now, oh, actually, that's just too pretty, though. That is just too pretty. I know it's not a bird, but it's too pretty. Look at that. Look at that. Just quickly, before we have to send you back to Tristan. Look at that sky and the rhino in the grass. Oh, magic. But it sounds like Tristan's got something else magic, which is a bird that apparently no one has seen before.
Well, we still have some weavers that are around. So there's some of the village weavers that are building their nests and nesting in this tree as well. Now, I need to correct myself earlier. I said Burchell starling, but I was wrong. They're actually greater blue-eared starling, so I do apologize about that. I didn't notice the yellow eye until I actually looked through my binoculars properly. I thought it was a Burchell's at first, so they flew off, and then these little weavers are still busy. I'm surprised they're still building so late in the season, given that, you know, I would have thought that they would have finished up already after the first kind of rains, that they would have already had their little ones. But you can see it's got that small mask, little red eye, and then very spotty back. So it used to be called a spotted backed weaver, and now the name has changed to village weaver. I still can't find my little 3-banded plovers. They were here, and I don't know what's happened to them. They seem to have scurried off when the fish eagle flew, so I'm sure I can find them somewhere. And my green shank, I had a common green shank as well that also flew away, so I'm going to try and find that too, because everybody's flying. But there you can see what looks like either Boris or Vlad taking it very easy, getting some sun, soaking up. It's still in holiday mode. Time to spend some time on the island and absorb some heat. It's also been cold the last few days, and so I'm pretty sure, being a cold-blooded animal, that it's now looking for as much warmth as possible in order to heat up and try and actually get some semblance of sort of body heat to be able to go and hunt and find food. Right, Seb, let's quickly go shoot around on the other side of the dam wall and see what else we can find there, because there's lots of birds that keep just flying away from me, which is the hard part about a bird challenge, is that, you know, they don't sit still, and so you kind of line them up and you think, yeah, I've got that bird in the bag, and then they just fly away, and then you sit there like a bit of a sort of dumbfounded character trying to think of now what you're going to do and where you're going to find said bird. But along here, let's just check very nicely for these, because the three-banded and the common sandpiper all been in this area, and I'm looking for them and hoping that I will find them again. Some of our pratincoles, they were in amongst the pratincoles, so you kind of overlook them sometimes. You've got to look for a little bit of movement low down to the ground, and that helps to be able to find them. So the last time I saw the common sandpiper, it was moving in this direction, but let's have a look. There should also be some little bee eaters here. They spend a lot of time sitting on these small trees very close to where I am now, so hopefully I will find them. I think we've probably seen about 12 different or 13 different species since we've been sitting here, but we've only managed to get like 3 or 4 on camera because they all just keep flying away. Naughty. Naughty, I tell you. The birds have not got the memo today at all. Now, this is where generally the little bee eaters sit, on this sort of vegetation on my right, but I don't see any of them today. Let's just go slowly along here. Maybe they'll just fly up as we go. No little bee eaters. I don't see them yet. Hold on, they might still be around. Let's see, what else have we got? From here we can actually spot quite a few different things. So there on the other side of the dam is where there are a number of different species of birds that we can quickly ID. So it looks like some white-faced whistling ducks that are sitting on the opposite side with a spoonbill in amongst them. So there we go, spoonbill in there, white-faced whistling duck, and water thickney. There's also something else there, Seb. Can you just go back to that frame quickly? Something there as well. There's an open-billed stork as well, so you can see where it gets its name. Nice big open beak. But if we go back to those birds, there should be, it looks like maybe a pied wagtail that's in there. So you see next to the spoonbill, to the left of the spoonbill, a little black and white bird that's sitting. So that's a little pied wagtail that is there. They get the name because of their tail moving. And actually, a wagtail is a big thing at the moment in South Africa, because there is a new species of bird that was discovered a few days ago, which is a white wagtail. First time it's ever been seen in South Africa, and it is down near Cape Town in that area. There's also a heron coming in, Seb. You see it's flying in. So it looks like a grey heron that is landing there. Yes, indeed, grey heron has also landed, so that's another good species to get. Why it's up on the tree, I'm not quite sure. It's a good place normally to be on the ground, but landing all the way up there seems a bit ridiculous, if I may be honest, because, well, it's not going to get any fish from up there, but maybe it just wants to survey the dam, make sure it's checking everything out first before it does anything. I'm just checking around, seeing what else I can find. There definitely is a green shank here somewhere. It flew across the dam towards kind of where the open-billed stork was. That was where it kind of flew towards, and so I'm just trying to scan that bank to see if I can find it again for all of you, because it's also a nice pretty bird that we don't see all that often here. No, I can't find it now. Must be here somewhere. I will go a little bit further forward just now and try. What's this coming over here, Seb? There's also something flying through the clouds, and the go-away birds are alarm calling. Looks like maybe a Wahlberg's eagle. Yes, Wahlberg's eagle coming past as well. You can hear all the Egyptian geese complaining. Has it got something in its talons? It does look like it's got something in its talons. Look, maybe another bird that it's caught, and it's now taking it back to the nest. So the nest is not far from here. So maybe we'll take a turn past the nest just now and try and get there and see if they feed it to the chick. But the nest is on the other side of Chitwa Dam. You see it's starting to drop down now and going towards that nest side. But how cool is that? It had another bird in its talons. Maybe we could try and ID what bird that was. Now I want to quickly just go forward slightly into this little cove, because there could also be a green-backed heron around here somewhere. There should be green-backed herons around in this area as well. There's a little golden-breasted bunting as well. So we'll do one more bird before we send off to Noel, but there we go, it flew away. Golden-breasted bunting that is flown that way, and so You got it. Well done, Seb. Very, very good. Somewhere in that area. There it is. There's our golden-breasted bunting with its beautiful golden breast and its nice stripy head. Right. Well, we're going to send you off to Noelle. She's still got a few more minutes of drive and trying to see what she can find. We're going to try to see some more birds. Hopefully we'll get a couple more species, and we'll bury Brent Leo Smith because, well, he's got a lot to catch up in the next 10 minutes.
Tristan, I'm doing exactly the same thing you're doing, but my orange-breasted bushshrike will not stay around. Neither will my green-winged petilias. Used to be called a Melba finch. So now I'm trying to find some birds who want to stick around and want to be seen on camera. So I'm hoping... Well, look, I mean, this is not as good as an auger buzzard, but there are a few babblers, arrow-marked babblers, up on the edge of this marula tree, being very babbly. There. And then zoom in there. They should be somewhere around in there. Up towards the back. There. They're hopping around in here. Now they're hiding from us, of course, because we want to show them on camera. Why? Why, babblers? Why? What did you say earlier, Tristan? Oh my goodness gracious. It's exactly like that. Okay, so the babblers want to be heard and not seen. The reason why we're getting some nice... and there they go! You see! Cheeky! And they're gone. Oh, the reason why we're getting some nice bird activity right now is that the clouds have lifted enough and the sun has come through. Everything's getting nice and warm, so we're getting a bit more insect activity. And also the warmer it is, the less energy the birds have to use to carry on to do their daily activities. Then, of course, as it gets too warm, then they have to rest again because then it's too much energy in that heat to function. So there's a nice little equilibrium, a little balance that they need to have. I am slowly potting towards the dam that's in front of Vuyatella because we might get some bird life that's there as well. After our hectic morning, both for myself and Tristan, of really working very hard for leopards that just didn't want to be seen, birding is a nice way to soothe yourself and calm the nerves a bit. And then also, I mean, Brent's been getting some magic stuff. I have not been up in Kenya so long, and I wasn't a huge birder the last time I was up in Kenya. Brent was naming off some birds today that I am super interested to see if and when I ever make it back up that side. And now, of course, we're talking about birds, and all my bird life has left me, and it's decided not to come out into the road and not to show itself. We have some starlings that are going to come up at our 9 o'clock here on top of this dead tree. Now, we do starlings often, but there's nice light that's happening right now, so I'm hoping we're going to get a bit of that iridescence. They either look blue or purple or black or green. Right now, they're shimmering a bit blue with a black tinge, from what I can see from here. We get a couple different types of starlings this side. We get greater blue-eared, Cape Glossy. This is looking like Cape Glossy to me. And Burchell's. And then as we go a little bit farther north, you'll start getting Neve starlings. One of my favorite starlings is still a starling that you see up in Kenya, the superb starling, with all those different colors, the orange and the whites and the iridescent blues. So for those of you that might be new with us, the iridescent coloration that we're talking about, it's really interesting. So parts of the feather are almost see-through, and they sort of overlap each other, and then when the light wave hits, it changes colors. Now, the emerald spotted wood dove that Tristan was looking at, I believe yesterday or the day before, that has scattering on it. So scattering is just, for lack of a better way to put it, smaller pockets of iridescence. So it's not the whole body or half of the body. It's just these little tiny spots that are on there. Now, this type of tree would be a tree that these starlings would nest inside of. They are hole nesters, very similar to that yellow-billed hornbill that we saw earlier. Tavi, we have a spider hunting wasp that's just here at sort of 10 o'clock. I'm not quite sure. He's just moved over. There he comes back. Very cool. Now, this is something we usually show on Bushwalk, but I really love these spider hunting wasps. I think they're incredible. They fly around looking for spiders. Oh, now there's two of them. They fly around looking for spiders. I've also seen them catch grasshoppers and katydids, and they inject them with a sort of venom, and then they put their larvae inside for their larvae to hatch, and then the insect's still alive, it just can't move. That venom also keeps the body nice and crisp and tasty for the larvae when they hatch, so that they can eat it and grow strong. Lots of wonderful little things happening as the sun comes out. Here they come past the car. Now, if they were to sting us, these spider hunting wasps would hurt, but I've never been stung by one. Ooh. Now, I believe Tristan is still doing a little bit of birding. So I think since I have a bird all of a sudden, a few...
Unfortunately, it seems Noel has got gremlins, but yes, we are birding. So there's our little green shank that is sitting in front of the water thickney. So water thickney at the back, which is there, and then the green shank is in front. That's got its head tucked away and is now trying to have a little nap. But that big white chest and then that sort of stripy head is our common green shank. So there's another bird for our listener. I think we've put nails in the coffin, so to speak, and we've won this. But there should be another little sandpiper behind that. You can see it sitting on the rock over there. There we go. Just to the right, Seb. There we go, going into the grass. So it looks like a common sandpiper with a little white C on its shoulder. There it comes out. So the little white C should be the common sandpiper. Is it a common sandpiper? It's very far away to get a positive ID. It doesn't look like it has a white... Yes, it is. You can see the one on the right-hand side is the common sandpiper, and then the one on the left is actually not a common sandpiper. It's got a very different look to it. You can see it doesn't have the white C on the shoulder. It has a sort of mottled head, and size is a little bit bigger as well. So that looks like our marsh sandpiper that is at the back there as well. So that's another two species. And then to finish all off, because I want to show you something else other than a bird before we finish. It's actually flown away now, unfortunately, but there was a green-backed heron, but it has flown. So let's just finish up with our little crocodile, because I know a lot of you have been wondering about the little baby crocs that we get here at Chitwa Dam. So there is one tiny baby croc that I can see. I can't see the rest, but it is sitting just to the left of the tree. So there we go. Hello, little crocodile. It's nice to see that there is still one at least. I'm trying to scan around and see if there's any more, but I can only see that one fella at the moment. It's so small still, and it's going to take a while until it grows up and becomes big like Vlad on the bank over there. Now, Rebecca in FC is wondering, where did it even come from? Well, Rebecca, what happens is two crocodiles meet. There is a little romantic session and they mate, and then the female crocodile will go and lay her eggs. And so she'll lay her eggs generally on a sandy bank very close to the water where she can keep an eye on it, and those eggs will then hatch, and from there they come out and then they go to the water. Now, Rebecca, no, they don't come from a stalk, unfortunately. Oh, there's another bird to add to our list. You see the three-banded plover is right in front of our little crocodile as well. So there we go. But no, they don't come from a stalk, Rebecca. Storks will eat them when they are very small, particularly big storks like marabou storks or even saddle-billed storks might go after them. So not by stalk, no. They are completely eggs, and they have been here for how long now? When was the first time we saw them, Seb? About 3 months ago, 4 months ago. I think 3-4 months ago is the first time we saw them, and there were 4 of them to start with, so don't know where the other 3 are. Maybe they're around as well. But there we go. I think that concludes our birding at Chitwa Dam, which means that is a solid win, Seb. High five, because we've just beaten Brent Leo Smith. Sure. So we're going to go home and revel in our glory and the fact that we beat Brent, which I know will undoubtedly make him very grumpy. But talking about Brent, let's send you all the way back across to the Mara, but not to him. I think it's to Taylor. I'm not sure. I might be wrong, but either way, enjoy the rest of the morning.
Well done on the birds. I'm not sure which one you were talking about in Cape Town, but I sent you a voice note, so hopefully you can respond and tell me which bird you were talking about that was recently discovered in Cape Town. That's quite cool. Be interesting to know. Now, unfortunately, our hotspot of animals, where we had hyenas, where we had... What else did we have? We had elephants, of course. There was some topi running around too, a few birds. We've gone through a quiet patch now. But hopefully we'll be able to find something interesting to have a look at. We can go look for that black kukul again. Still want to get a much closer sighting. Now, When we were with that big herd of elephants crossing through, Jandre quickly panned onto a bird, a raptor that was flying across the sky, and I thought that it might have been a Eurasian marsh harrier. But then I remember seeing that it had white on its rump, which I know that the other two, the African marsh and the Western marsh, don't have. So now I don't know. I didn't get a good enough look. It was such a quick glimpse. So if you've got screenshots, send it. Maybe a female pallid harrier, just because there's so many male pallid harriers flying around at the moment. Possibly. Be quite interesting to know. But I like I said, I was focused on the elephants, and I had a quick look on the monitor when the camera panned across, and I didn't see it very well. But I know you are all very keen birders, and you all have access to the interweb and bird books. So you're also welcome to have a quick look around. But maybe I'll put my money on then female pallid harrier, but I'm just gambling, I guess. So yeah, so we think we might just try and do a bit of birding for the rest of the drive. Like I said, try and get that black kukul and something else. I've already seen a new bird today. That was quite nice. It was unexpected. I need to at some point count how many birds I've actually seen. I must be clocking them up now. I've definitely seen quite a few since I've been here. Right, this is also the area where we saw those baby guinea fowl chicks. So maybe we get to see them too. That would be quite nice. I've been saying how I've been wanting to see more guinea fowl chicks, but they'll probably be kept in an area like this. It's actually quite a nice area driving through these thickets. Those little ones will be vulnerable. Goodness gracious, the comms gremlins are on form today. Okay, well, we'll keep an eye out for the guinea fowl chicks, and we'll call you back if we do find them. Let's go and see what Brent's plans are for the rest of drive.
Well, I just got a report that the Angama pride apparently managed to go into the forest all the way up to the top and killed a zebra somewhere around the airstrip right behind our camp last night. So I don't know if they're still up there. They might have killed multiple things. I remember there's 16, 17 lions at the moment with all those cubs to feed, so they often will have to kill more than once. So that's very, very interesting though. And I'll have a look when we get back up to the top, see if they're still knocking about there. But there's definitely something going on in the forest where we saw those vultures, and there were at least 10 or 15 vultures. And you don't often see 10 or 15 vultures in the Mara without something actually being up. But my plan for the rest of the drive is I was going to go look for the Angama pride again, but now I've heard they're way up top. I think I'm going to continue birding and see if we can find some other lovely little birds. I was trying to get away from the edge of the mountain down towards one of the swampy areas so I could have compete with Tristan, but unfortunately I was too far away from an easy birding area like Tristan chose. I of course chose the difficult birding area, but hopefully Tristan's on drive this afternoon, and maybe we can carry it on, or tomorrow morning. If he's on drive tomorrow morning, we can definitely have a rematch. Now, that rhino was heading towards the south, which is unusual. We don't see the black rhino too much further from where we saw that one. It's probably going to hang around in that area, feeding off all the little shrubs and little trees that are growing up through the long grass. And I think, well, as well as birds, I think after such a wonderful elephant afternoon yesterday, I wouldn't mind going to spend some more time with some ellies. So good chance we're going to get ellies just on the other side of the Shini. James is wondering, are there any birds in the Mara that haven't started nesting yet? Yes, there are, James. I mean, some of the birds nest throughout the year. They don't have specific breeding seasons. So there will be some birds that haven't started nesting yet, but will start nesting soon. But it all depends. There's lots of different reasons for different birds to nest at different times. But most of the birds are nesting now after the small rains into the big rains. Oh, it sounds like Madam McCurdy has found a feathered friend for you.
Finally, one that I can identify, and that's a white-browed kukul. Seen as though we've been looking for kukels this morning. Not the black kukul, though, but still a pretty one to see. Very easy to tell the difference between the Burchell's kukul and the white-browed kukul. And that's because of that eyebrow. The Burchell's kukul doesn't have it at all. And quite interesting to see it perched so high in the tree. Normally we see them down on lower shrubs. I can't say that I've seen one of them up so high in a tree before. Very cool, just surveying its area. Well, I have seen the Burchell's kukul bouncing around in the jackalberries on those rainy days. But not a rainy day today. And then there's some other ones up there. There's a little dark-coloured one, which might be a female sooty chat, but it's hard to say because it's sitting perched and I can't see any white on its wings. And then that's a long claw over there bouncing around. You can see it's a long claw just by its feet when it flies up. They've got exceptionally long toes, which is quite cool. Looks like a female. Doesn't have that very dark band along the throat in black, and then that sort of, I can't think of words, they're escaping me today, but you can often see the bright yellow then on the throat quite nicely on the males. But a nice little variety in this tree. What else have we got around here? I'm just scanning to see in any of these shrubs. Maybe we have got a black kukul that's just lurking about. I would imagine that they'd be around together. You've got to be careful. The birds are so hard to try and sort of spot. What have you got? Oh my gosh, look at what we've got. It's a warthog. The great white tusker of the Mara Plains. Thinking that we can't see it, but we can. Now, what's funny at the moment is that you're often seeing with the warthogs is that they're going up and standing up on the termite mounds because they can't see over the grass. Or you normally see them with their noses pointed to the sky, which is quite funny to see, as if they were trying to stand on their tippy toes. But that must be quite daunting, don't you think? Standing in all that long grass, not knowing if there's a lion creeping about, because they'd be able to conceal themselves. I'd be a very stressed out animal, especially if I was something like a warthog. Oh, there's another kukul, just to the right on that first big shrub. It might be the same one, in fact. Yeah, I think it actually could just be the same one, but it's just a different view of it. Now, in the sun, this is typically what we see, and it's alarming at the moment. Can you hear that? Of course, it's stopped. Typical. One more time, please. It's not doing it, that's why you can't hear it. You'll see it opens its beak and it goes something like that. Doesn't really sound like that. No, it's stopped. I don't know what it was doing that at, but it was a typical alarm of a kukul. They all sort of have the same sound that they make. I don't know if it saw something in the grass or perhaps a raptor in the sky, but now it's stopped. It stopped panicking. But they're very cool little birds, don't you think? I love the kukuls. I could spend all day watching them, and one day I promise you, we are definitely going to get a kukul catching a lizard or something along those lines on camera. It would be quite nice. Okay, let's see what else we can find. We're still a little bit further away from where I have seen the black kukul before. It's a bit closer towards the main road, but we can start searching along here. Now, I'm trying desperately to improve my birding skills, everybody. So you're all just going to have to deal with me over this next, well, for as long as I'm at Wild Earth, I suppose you'll try and see me improving on. And speaking of birding, and someone that's particularly good at it, he's got much experience in the industry, is Brent, and I should probably go on a few lessons with him. So let's see if he's got any birding advice for me.
Well, thank you, Taylor. That was very kind. Birding advice? Always make sure your binoculars are close by. And you can bird anywhere. You can bird in cities, you can bird in the bush, you can bird on a road trip. And that is one of the wonderful things about birding. You can bird in the snow, you can bird in the rain. Actually, birding in the rain is pretty terrible. Unless you're looking at some aquatic birds, they don't mind the rain so much. No, he doesn't disappear into the grass. There's that pin-tailed wider, but he's still flying. Maybe come towards the road. No. So I'm heading towards a spot where I'm hoping to get elephants and birds together. Where one of the rivers comes out from the mountains. There's a lovely lush green area there. There's often egrets, herons, larks, long claws, and elephants and buffalo. So let's go have a look what's happening there. Haven't seen our snake eagle friend who often roosts in these trees. He wasn't there when we came down the hill this morning. And then tomorrow I think I'm going to head across towards the other side. See if we can spend some time with the musketeers, the 5 cheetah boys on the other side of the river tomorrow afternoon maybe. Now Barbara wants to know which is more of a passion, birding or fishing. Oh, Barbara, can't make me choose like that. I'd say both, birding and fishing. Unfortunately, I don't get to fish as often as I would like. Stone, sorry. But I get to bird every day, so I must say I do enjoy my fishing, but I often combine fishing and birding. So actually, the last fishing trip I did offshore, I saw some boobies. And of course, I'm not being rude, it is actually a type of tern. I saw a blue-footed booby, and I must actually go check my list. Another one of the boobies. Also, Caspian tern. Saw quite a few different birds offshore, but I need to go back and have a look at my list. And so, yes, so you can often combine, and especially fishing in Africa, you can definitely combine both when out there. Okay. We are nearly at the spot I want to be. And all those elephants have really marched out of the forest and disappeared. Let's go across to Madam McCurdy, see which one she prefers, fishing or birding. Although the last time she went fishing, she spent more time feeding the fish than fishing.
I like both, and I also like to feed the fish too. I love fishing. I've grown up fishing from very, very, very young age. In the Crom River, the Bushmans, and the Kruger River, catching all sorts of wonderful things. And then I can fly fish these days too. Not very good at it, however. And then I recently went deep sea fishing, which I spent most of the time, as Brent said, feeding the fish. Pretty much the entire time. So yeah, he loves that. It's his favorite thing. We're in the area of the Black Kruger now. But like Brent also said, we don't get enough time to go fishing, I'm afraid. I'd love to go on a fishing trip with Brent. And I'll never forget when a few of them went on, when they went to Uganda, Craig sent me the funniest picture of Brent's fish, which was only about that big. It had accidentally just managed to hook itself on a hook that was probably larger than that fish anyways. But it was great though, and that was the only one that he caught apparently while Craig was there. And later on I think he redeemed himself and caught a few bigger fish. Let's actually ask, I'm going to see if I can find that photo, because you'll all laugh. It was really hilarious. But sadly no luck on the Black Kruger today. And you know, you just got to try. It's a bit of a gamble. Keep checking the same areas to see if it's out and around. May have just been foraging down low in the grass, out of view, which is a pity. Every time I come around this corner, I think that there's a raptor sitting on the floor, but it isn't. Look what it is. I'm going to show you from here, and then we'll go closer. But straight in front of us on an old road is a black figure. And it is the termite mound. It's one of the chimneys. But it really does, in the long grass, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of a Wahlberg's eagle sitting up on a termite mound eating alates and eating termites, which is something that we actually do see a lot of. You see a lot of it down in the Sabi sand, in fact. But every time I have to tell myself, Taylor, don't stop, don't get your binoculars out. It's not a bird, it's just the termite mound. There's lots of logs and trees and termite mounds that you see every single day, and you have to remind yourself. So they're doing a good job. That seems to be quite a new chimney. It's like they're working hard. Right, I think Brent must be out of his car at the moment, and I think he wants to do a height test with a lugger or something like that.
No, I definitely am not out of my car. We did spot a cinnamon-breasted bunting, but it has flown away. But just coming out of the pipes underneath every now and then, there's some swallows, and I couldn't see which ones. I'd be nesting in the pipes, and swallows often nest. So, where's my hand? So just under here, they're coming out from there. But we do have some other birds on the other side, and for once, the area is devoid of elephants. Almost always we have ellies here, but not today, but alas. And you can see there's a little black bird on top of that termite mound. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Now, we need it to turn a little bit so we can see which of the widows it is. Oh, there we go. Let's zoom back in. I want to see on the shoulders. Aha. Oh, it's not the one I thought it was. Oh, it could be, but it's just got very, very dull coloration. If it is a fan-tailed, a widow bird. Let's have a... Ah, no, it is a fan-tailed. And as soon as he flew, we could see those lovely red shoulders. There we go. Off it goes. Fan-tailed widow bird. Displaying around, looking for... It's a male, looking for girls. And oh no, they're up on the road up ahead. There's some swallows sitting down. So let's see if we can get a view of them. Oh, sounds like Taylor's also got another widow bird for you.
No, I don't know, you're calling me a widow bird. No, I'm my ostrich feather from yesterday. We didn't finish our quiz. We never finished it. I didn't get an answer. How am I supposed to know what feather this is? Is it from a male or a female ostrich? I don't know. I need your help. Hashtag Safari Live. Go, quickly. Type it as fast as you can. It's very easy, this one, of course. But I thought I'd wear it in my hair. And I was just feeling a bit flamboyant. And I kind of wish I had a feather boa, which would be quite nice. I think they do use ostrich feathers for feather boas. I would imagine that they would. This one's got nice little white frosting tips on the end. It's a trendy ostrich feather, this one, so it can go back in my hair for now. Quite nice, actually. I quite like it. And I was going to try and take it back to South Africa with me, except I don't think it's going to fit in my book. Actually, you know what I do have that I can show you, which is quite cool, seeing as though I've got feathers on the brain this morning. Right, it's open. A very dirty notebook. And then inside the pouch, there are some feathers. Many feathers, in fact. But I got some new ones. Oh! No, we've done that one. We'll see that time. Sorry, I'm trying to find... Look what I found. I think something had eaten this bird, but let's get some guesses going. Who do these belong to as well? So with your answer as to whether it's a male or female ostrich, who do these feathers belong to? I apologize, my hands are filthy. I'm just looking at them. They're covered in dirt at the moment, but of course when you get in these cars, it's impossible to try and keep them clean. They were clean this morning. But I think that these feathers are very striking and quite easy to identify. Chandra! Stop it! Don't zoom in on my nails. It's so dirty. Chandra is so mean with things like that. But yes, beautiful ones. Remember to hashtag Safari Live. Anyway, I found these feathers on the ground, and I think something had eaten them. Maybe a jackal. Maybe, I don't know. What else could have eaten them? No, that's the precious one. I've got many a precious feather. And then look at this one. So I've just got to fix it. It's very old. I can't even remember from which kingfisher this is from. Look at this one. Now, that's a beautiful feather too. It's from, I think it was, did I say it was from a pygmy kingfisher? I can't remember. But it's definitely one of the kingfishers, either a malachite or a pygmy, but I can't remember which one. Chandray! I'm going to take something that's down on the floor of my footwell and lob it at you if you're not careful. Christina, you said that the feather that we had earlier, that is here in my head now, I'm just putting this feather back in, was from a female ostrich. Dare I do the buzzer? I'm so sorry, I know that may have sounded harsh, but that's what my dad used to do to me growing up as a kid. If you got something wrong, he would do the buzzer. Traumatic childhood experiences I had. So unfortunately you're incorrect, Christina. It's actually from a male. The reason why I know that it's from a male is because it's black, of course. So there's a car coming past me, so I just want to stop and let them go. So it's black, and then these are the nice white frosted tips that I was telling you about. I'd imagine this would be towards the tip of the wing, where there's typically some white feathers. The female feathers aren't as pretty as this. This is, of course, a small ostrich feather. They are grey in Stop it. Chandra. No, I need a stick. The feather is just going to tickle him and not make him angry. So yes, the female's feathers are sadly a little bit on the drab side. They're more grey in colour. And then, I'm not, can I please have that name again? Mfuta? I'm not sure what, comms are terrible, so I apologise if I'm butchering your name. You said that the feathers we had before were from a nightjar. Well done. You get the ding 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 sound for winning the prize that is non-existent. You just get bragging rights now. I don't know what nightjar it is because there's quite a few different species, so perhaps we can examine them at some point. I know my app on my phone is really great because it actually shows you the different feathers of a nightjar. However, it's only for southern Africa, and I don't know if this big bird, but maybe we can focus on it at some point. I want to try and figure out first what they are, and then go through it and see what nightjar it could be. I didn't see the whole thing. It was just some feathers down on the ground. Maybe even a serval could have got it, a caracal. You know, it's kind of endless what could have ended that bird's life. There are many creatures out here with claws and teeth that would find it to be a very tasty snack. So we're slowly bumbling home now, back up towards the escarpment, and I did see Brent pass us a little way ahead, so let's jump back on board with him and see how far up the escarpment he is.
We're not. We're in search of the elusive Jackson's widow bird, and there's a pair of them there that keep popping up and down. Jambo abari. And they're just staying in the long grass. So Adrian and I have been going up and down and up and down. I'm hoping we're going to be able to get a view of the Jacksons now as they move towards the edge of the shorter grass. Come on, Jacksons. They are very, very cool. They've got very big tails for the size of their body. No, Jacksons! They are hiding. They're in this little sort of hollow over here. Now watch, as soon as I start moving away, they're going to pop up. Or not. Quite a big flock. 2 males with the flock and lots of females. Maybe we'll get lucky. They've been all along this area here. The Jackson's widow birds. Come on, Jacksons. Oh dear. Alas, no such luck, but I do see Taylor, who's in front of us. She's going to beat me up the escarpment. If she doesn't get lost, of course. Okay. No, why did they keep disappearing, those Jackson's widow birds? Well, hopefully we can find a lesser kestrel. They're often sitting on the trees around here, these Balanites trees. Although Taylor might find one first, because she's ahead of us. You see where it landed there? It's a bird we missed a little bit earlier. Okay. Oh, it's gone. It was a cinnamon-breasted bunting, but it just took off. Oh dear. They're just not being kind today, are they? Jackson's, whatever, it's cinnamon-breasted escaping buntings. Well, hopefully Taylor manages to show you a lesser kestrel, because they're quite often in those trees where she is. So let's go see what it looks like from Taylor's car.
Voila! Look at the magic! Look what I've created! I suppose it looks fairly similar to what it looks like from your car. Grass, some trees, and the escarpment. Well, in Brent's car you don't have a blonde ponytail bouncing around either. So a lesser kestrel, I haven't seen one just yet, but we can look, we can see. Seen quite a few sooty chats. Just seen a white-tailed lark, I think. Or, no, you see, I shot these things. I have no idea what I'm talking. It's gone now. There it goes. I don't know what it was, but it had a very white tail. I don't have to dig this book out and have a look. Come on, set it live. Is that it there? That is so far away, Jean-Ray. Well done. You can all pick your binoculars up and then now look at the screen as well. And perhaps it will help you see a little bit closer, because our bird is now flown very, very far away. Let me go to larks. White-tailed. Let's see how wrong I am. 328. I have no problem with being corrected either. I know I'm not a particularly good birder, but at least I try, and I'm learning. 328. Was it number 4? I don't know. This is what it shows me. Should we do the lark page again? Look, these are actually all different. Surprisingly, can you believe it? They all look exactly the same to me, or most of them. They say that this is the white-tailed lark. I don't see anything in particular that made it look like that. But maybe, is this maybe Brent behind me? It is. Come on over, sir. Come on over. Brent is here. I should maybe move off the road from there. He's a good driver. He won't get stuck. Brent, I think I saw a white-tailed lark. Are there lots of white-tailed larks here? Yeah. I just shouted it out because it had a white tail. And then I showed everyone the picture of the larks in the books and how they all look exactly the same.
White-tailed lark, the other one, but there's two that are quite similar. But yeah,
it was quite plain. It didn't have a lot of streaking on it.
Yeah, and very small.
Very small. Yes. Yes, white-tailed. I think so. So there we go. There's the ornithologist has told us it was a white-tailed lark.
It took me a long time to get them properly on camera a while ago.
Oh really? We had one that was so far away I had to tell the viewers to get their binoculars out to look on through the screen to be able to see it a bit better. Oh, I do. What birds do I have on my scarf?
Can you identify them? Sparrows.
Are they sparrows?
Look like sparrows.
That's not a sparrow. That's a crest, though. I think these are birds.
I think they're European.
60 seconds left of the show. My goodness, that came out as a surprise. We've been attacked by the comms gremlins today. Okay, that's good to know. Right. I'm going to face this way now and give Brent the cold shoulder so he carries on and tries. But it's been a very exciting morning out here. Lots of birding. Oh my goodness, Brent. Right. Brent just crashed into my car. He doesn't get stuck, but he doesn't know how to drive. This is the greatest thing I've ever experienced in my entire life. Yes, we caught Brent doing something wrong in the car. Right, join us again this afternoon for the sunset safari, and hopefully we'll have Brent not getting stuck in the mud.